Welcome back to your Fantasy Football Buddies. I'm Steven Moran.
I'm Jeff Ellis, and it is Friday, the 5th of August, 2011, and boy, we got a show for you.
Today, we're talking about the injury bug that has hit the Oakland Raiders and Philadelphia Eagles.
It is biting with fury. We've got Fantasy Football for James, where we're going to understand DSTs.
We'll let him know what it is because he thought it was something bad.
STDs, possibly.
Come out and get our cheat sheets, and today we'll be talking about our top 5 tight ends. Jeffrey and I disagree on the tight ends. We'll get to that in a moment. But right now, Jeffrey, the injury bug.
My
Look
gosh.
at that thing.
Ah!
It is biting people.
I'm an arachnid phobe, and I don't like it at all. The silver and black is becoming black and blue. Raiders' big dog, running back Darren McFadden, is out a few weeks with a fracture in his orbital bone.
Yes, Michael Fox has asked, is Darren McFadden fragile? Yes, he is.
Yes, he seems to be. Although he is typically the fantasy points leaders, it's not without a lot of bumps in the roads for that team.
Yeah.
Unless anyone think that the orbital bone means that he's no longer can rotate around the earth, it's actually an eye socket injury.
Ouch.
And that it's a small fracture, and he's expected back shortly, so don't worry about that.
Well, wide receiver Jacoby
Ford.
Yes, that guy, Jacoby Ford. I wanted to call him Jacoby Ford, but that's not right. Jacoby Ford, he's busted his left wrist, and he's out for a little while. It's continuing to hit. Who's the other guy there?
Well, then at team's first full practice yesterday, where anyone who's got a new contract could finally get on the field, wide receiver Derek Jones had to be helped from the field.
And, of course, they lost tight end Zach Miller, who's gone up to Seattle. Ship all banged up all over the place for the Oakland Raiders.
Then you add to this the thin running back core. Fourth-round pick Tywan Jones and Michael Bennett are out with undisclosed injuries, whatever that means.
And Michael Bush hasn't even showed up to camp.
So, moving on to the Washington, D.C. area, running back Ryan Terrain has wrist surgery just performed yesterday, and now he's going to be out 7 to 10 days.
Well, the Philadelphia Eagles are struggling with this issue with Jeremy Maclin. Jeffrey, they don't know what's going on with Jeremy Maclin. Back in April, he had some mono-like symptoms. He lost about 30 pounds. He's not back at training camp yet, and with DeSean Jackson's holdout, the Eagles are in trouble.
No, I'm very, very concerned, actually, about him. And it wasn't 30. It was more 15 to 20 pounds that he lost back in April. However, what the problem is, and the troubling thing is, his return to camp and to active participation in camp is still considered, quote, a ways off.
Ooh.
And these troubling symptoms from April seem to be sticking with him, where he feels pretty good one day, and then the next day he just feels horrible. And everyone who knows him thinks that he looks very lean and very thin compared to how he looked before. He wasn't a big guy to begin with, so that 15, 20 pounds is a really big deal. And now, moving on to the New York Jets, wide receiver Plaxico Burress, he tweaked his ankle working out on his own just 24 hours before he was able to join the team.
That's right. So he hasn't actually have any team participation. It's going to be easy to ease him in, hard actually to ease him into the Jets offense there. I would wait on Plaxico Burress till later on in the rounds. Then finally, Kenny Britt, another wide receiver. Wide receivers all over the place. Kenny Britt, hamstring injury, and he hasn't been at practice right now.
And this is especially troubling given that it's a hamstring, and hamstrings tend to stay with you longer than other types of injuries. And that new offensive coordinator, Chris Palmer, is installing a completely different offense, and Kenny Britt has yet to be able to participate and work on the installation of that new offense.
Now it's time for Fantasy Football with James. James had this question.
He was worried about that he might have to develop an STD if he wanted to play fantasy football.
He says, Steven, what does DST stand for?
And it actually stands for defense / special teams.
And so I explained to James, and I'll explain to any noobs out there playing fantasy football for the first time, that's defensive special teams unit. You pick an entire team's defense, an entire team's special teams that play together. Any kick returns for touchdowns, punt returns for touchdowns, fumble recoveries, interceptions, whatever that defense does as a team unit, you get points for. Instead of like on offense where you have individual skilled players, the defense, you get the entire team.
And that combination of points just adds to your point total for the week as you're playing against someone else. Now, Steven, quickly, we've got to get through our top tight ends for this upcoming season.
That's right. I'll just give you my 5, and then you give me your 5. We'll ask some questions. All right, my 5, I've got Antonio Gates, Dallas Clark, Jason Witten, Vernon Davis, and Zach Miller, who is now in Seattle, by the way, as my top 5.
Does his moving to Seattle change his top 5 status?
I like him right where he's at.
Okay.
Yes.
John Carlson, of course, taking a huge hit there, as he will definitely be playing second fiddle up there with the Seahawks. Now, my top 5 tight end sees Antonio Gates, Dallas Clark, Vernon Davis, Jermichael Finley, and Owen Daniels.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wow, so you've left off Jason Witten, but at 5 you've got Owen Daniels, a guy who didn't even make my top 10. Why? The past 2 seasons, he's missed a lot of games. He missed 8 games 2 seasons ago. Last year, he missed 6 games due to injury. I can't have my tight end not scoring and not being there week to week. You've got Jason Witten, who's a consistent guy for the Dallas Cowboys, and Tony Romo's BFF, not even in your top 5?
Now, I've got Jason Witten at 6, Steven, so it's not like he's far from the top 5. However, I do believe that Owen Daniels, when he's on the field, when he's healthy, is the guy most likely to get the ball on any down for the Houston Texans. I think he stays healthy this year. He shakes that fragile moniker that has chased him the last couple of years, and he returns to form to become one of the top 5 tight ends in the league.
Well,
he's always targeted.
I'll let you have him.
Okay, and I'll take him, and that's it. We hope you enjoy it. Go out to NFLRNR.com. Click on the fantasy tab, and you can have Steven's cheat sheets. You can have all my cheat sheets. You can have both.
You can mesh them together and come up with your own. That's all the time we've got. I'm Steven Miranda.
I'm Jeff Ellis.
And your fantasy football buddies. Out.